Today, our parish community of Good Shepherd celebrates a very special occasion. It happens to be the Sunday of the Good Shepherd, the Sunday of the Good Shepherd. I don't know about you, but there are some moments in my life that are etched in my memory very strongly. And the Feast of the Good Shepherd is one of those. You see, it was 10 years ago that I was addressing another community of faith. And in my little address to the community, I was saying goodbye. This was a community that I had come to know in the celebrations of baptisms and marriages and first confessions. I had buried their beloved dead. And I was now called by the Archbishop to move from St. Michael the Archangel in Aurora, Colorado, to Good Shepherd Parish in Denver, Colorado. It was a great time of sadness, and yet there was something that sort of remained with me in my thinking. And that is in the Gospel of John in the 21st chapter, when Jesus is addressing Peter about feeding his lambs, he says to Peter, "Well, Peter, when you were young, you can go wherever you want. But when you get a little bit older, well, others are going to lead you to places you never imagined." And so it was that the invitation of the Archbishop, I became the pastor of Good Shepherd Parish 10 years ago. Now, I think of that journey. If I had not said yes to the Lord in that moment that was bittersweet, I would never have heard the little child who came to me one day after a Mass here at Good Shepherd, who attends our school. And this little child said to me, "Now, Father Jim, I have a question." It happened to be Ash Wednesday. And this little child says to me, "Now, Father Jim, didn't I just hear Jesus say, when you pray, wash your face, don't look glum? Well, then why did you put all that stuff on my forehead?" I said to this little child, "That is a wonderful question, and I'm sure your brilliant teacher here will help you find an answer to that question." See, when you trust yourself to the Lord, you have new encounters, new beginnings. If I had not said yes to the Lord, I never would have met the amazing, wonderful young man who I encountered last summer in a baptism class. I said to these young couples preparing for baptism, "Tell me about welcoming this little child into your life." I'll never forget the words of this wonderful father. He said, "Father, when I got married, I thought I had a pretty big heart. But every day, growing in love with my wife has opened my heart in ways that I could never imagine. She is the most remarkable gift of my life." And I thought, well, surely that's enough. Surely that's a heart big enough for God. And then I was given a little child. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh my goodness. I thought my heart was full. And instead, I learned that I was only beginning to learn how to love as I welcomed that amazing gift of a new life into my home. And then, if it had not been for saying yes to the Lord, I might well have missed an opportunity to celebrate the life of one of our beloved parishioners, gone much too soon, but deeply loved. And loved because he cared, because he was involved, because he took responsibility for the world in which he lived. And as a result of that, people came from everywhere and filled our church to overflowing when we celebrated his funeral. See, on one Sunday of the Good Shepherd, I thought, I don't know what my life is going to be like. And on this Sunday of the Good Shepherd, it's just a joy to say to you, my life is richer beyond imagination because I said yes, and the good Lord gave me the grace of serving you as your pastor. Well, on this Sunday of the Good Shepherd, it is also a bittersweet moment I would love to be able to share these words with you in person. And here I am speaking to you through electronic medium. But I'd like to say this. We don't quite yet know what our future is going to look like. And I elected to stand here beside this cross. If you've never come to our prayer room, you may never have seen this cross. But in 1920, when our world was just beginning to recover from a pandemic, the Spanish flu, there were a small group of Christians who, at the corner of 5th and Josephine, said, "We want to build a church for God. We want to have a home where we can pray, bring our children to be baptized, celebrate First Communions, come in silence, say the rosary, celebrate our marriages, and bury our dead." And they made tremendous sacrifices in light of a world that was barely discovering what its future would look like. And for over 30 years, this little crucifix sat at the front of that little church that was built by those people just like this in a time when the world had fallen apart. This cross represents a testament to hope and to the future. And so I speak to you on this Sunday, the Feast of the Good Shepherd, because we still have a work yet to do. In the year 1981, there were two little communities that worshiped in this neighborhood, one named St. Philomena, one named St. John the Evangelist. They too faced a bittersweet moment. They had years of tradition. They had years of being rivals in basketball and football. And in 1981, they were asked to become one family, just one family. It was a painful time. They didn't quite know their way forward. But over the years, children have come to celebrate life in a Catholic school. Children have been formed in faith formation programs. Neighbors have become friends. Enemies have even come together and actually claimed one name as their patron, Good Shepherd. So here we are, starting over yet again. In the days to come, there are probably going to be many changes, well, we could do this, or maybe we'll be doing that. All I ask from you today is a whole lot of patience and a whole lot of prayer. We will try to begin to invite you back in small groups as we are instructed is possible. We hope to expand those groups over the course of the summer, but it may also be quite a long time before once more your children's voices will fill this house with the sound of laughter and even just a little extra noise on the side. And so I await what the Lord has in store for all of us. And as your pastor, I invite you to join me. Over this period of time, I've been reflecting a lot on a little reflection from the book of Lamentations. In the book of Lamentations, after talking about sadness and grief and saying goodbye, the author writes this: "The favors of the Lord are not yet exhausted." Favors of the Lord are not yet exhausted. Well, my brothers and sisters, we are God's handiwork in the world today, and together we will build a new future. May Jesus, the Good Shepherd, teach us the way of mercy and the way of healing, and may God continue to prosper the work of our hands.